Pardon the mess. We just moved into this apartment, but I wanted to record this video. I know that I'm on the floor, but let's keep it casual. So I wanted to tell you about how Kaiju number 8 is the golden retriever of shonen anime. Pause for a second here. When I say anime, I'm also referring to the manga. That's how I read the story. I read the entire manga on the Shonen Jump app, which you can too. But I think most people will be introduced to the show by the anime. So just for shorthand, I'll refer to it as the anime. So most shonen anime protagonists want to become God or save the world. In Kaiju number 8, Kafka Hibino just wants to be really good at his job, and I think that makes him one of the best anime protagonists in a long while. And I know a lot of shonen protagonists spend episodes and chapters screaming about surpassing their limits, and like all Kafka Hibino wants to do is be really good at his job, but that makes him revolutionary, and I'll tell you why. Like, also to be clear, this is a story about a young lad punching monsters really well, so there is that, but it's still a story about someone who just wants to do a good job. And the approach that has this earnestness that you really don't see in a lot of shonen anime. There's usually a bigger purposes to where this earnestness comes from, and that's not really present. It's just very golden retriever-like. And that golden retriever energy is where Kaiju number 8 succeeds. It's enthusiastic, it's straightforward, it's impossible not to love. There's no hidden agenda, there's no complex storyline there. It's just tail-wagging excitement about someone wanting to do good and help people. And again, even though that may involve him punching giant monsters in the face until they explode, it still counts. Okay, so what do they get up to in Kaiju number 8? So let me tell you this. So in Japan, in this version of Japan, giant monsters attack regularly. The monsters are generally categorized by how big and how dangerous they are, and the very dangerous ones get numbered designations like Kaiju number 8, Kaiju number 1, Kaiju number 2, and so on. And there is a group called the Japan's Anti-Kaiju Defense Force who fights them, usually with guns and weapons, but also weapons made out of the remains of defeated kaiju, which is very interesting. And so unlike other shonen anime like Naruto or like Jujutsu Kaisen, there's no complex, clan system or chakra or ninjutsu systems or cursed energy mechanics. It's basically, we have weapons, we have these power suits that make us stronger, and sometimes we use the remains of dead kaiju to kill other kaiju who are threatening the country. Very straightforward story. Oh, lost my train of thought. My wife and our dog came home from a walk. So let's talk about the main character, Kafka Hibino. So the story starts off with him working at Monster Sweepers Inc. So in a world where you defeat giant monsters, someone's going to be there to clean them up. And that's where we meet Kafka. He's part of the monster cleaning crew. He's actually really good at his job too. He knows a lot about monster biology, and this actually helps him do a really good job at work. And the way the story unfolds, he probably could have stayed in that role forever. And that actually kind of would have been a cool story too. But, through one thing or another, which I won't spoil, Kafka becomes a kaiju himself. One who happens to be so strong, he becomes a numbered kaiju, the titular Kaiju number 8. What I like about this transformation is that it's not, the story's not about like his internal struggle about whether he's still a man or is he a monster. From his perspective, it's just, oh, I'm really strong now. I can now actually be part of the defense force versus being cleaner. And he can use his knowledge of monster biology to actually be better at punching monsters, which is great. And of course, a guy named Kafka who transforms, very obvious literary connection to Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis, where a gentleman wakes up one morning as a giant cockroach. That's probably as far as the literary connection goes, but worth mentioning because it's the thing that stuck out to me the most, probably like within the very first couple of seconds of reading the first chapter. I touched upon this too a little bit. I'm going to talk about power scaling because that's also a really big thing that happens in anime. So the power scaling system is incredibly simple in Kaiju number 8. First of all, like I said, Kaiju are their powers based on their size and threat level, generally bigger, or if they have like some kind of superpower or something, that makes them more dangerous, and the numbered ones are the top of the list of the most dangerous. For the humans, for the the Anti-Kaiju Japanese Defense Force, they have these power suits that, I guess, based off your sheer will, you can become stronger, and it changes the amount of output the suit does, and that's like in a percentage, and people who have stronger will can draw more power from the suit, and therefore if they have a physical weapon like a sword or an axe, or a sword axe that's also a gun, they're stronger with it. The funny part is that projectile weapons like machine guns and other gun weapons also become stronger with the with the power suits. Doesn't make any sense, but also doesn't matter. No, it's cool to know that, someone can shoot stronger bullets or hit with a axe that explodes just based off sheer force of will. The scaling also doesn't get bogged down by extensive backstories that take forever. Every character in, the side characters and obviously the main characters do have their time to shine. And at the tail end of the story, at least in the manga, every character does get their own chapter, essentially, where it's like a very short cut of their backstory and then them really saving the day or do something incredible. And that's about as far as it gets in terms of like these backstories and character development, which may or may not be a good thing, but I think it helps keep the story really breezy and confident in its pacing, and you just get to see cool, young, energetic people beating up monsters or threatening the city. Doesn't need to be more complicated than that. And that's the thing that makes Kaiju number 8 a special story. Now we have all these shonen anime stories that try to complicate themselves and have these branching stories that eventually get lost in their own sort of lore and become hard to follow. And there's several manga that I have had to reread multiple times because after a while I'm just like, where is this story going? I don't understand. But this doesn't do that. Kaiju number 8 isn't a complicated story, and that's what makes it fantastic. It's essentially just a story about good people wanting to save the day from monsters who just want to mess things up. And it approaches all that with an earnestness and enthusiasm and trust in its story and characters that just makes it a really fun, breezy read that I really enjoy tearing through. And I'm excited for people to either read the story or check out the anime because I think that really shines through. And all the characters are simple, but that also makes them really easy to identify with and root for. And it doesn't hurt to have stories nowadays that are a little bit more simple and straightforward. I love Kaiju number 8 because it's just an honest story about people wanting to do good for each other. And part of that doing good revolves around either punching monsters really hard or shooting them with axe guns that explode. It doesn't need to. It's great. And hey, I like anime and manga. I'm sure you do too if you're watching this. If you have ideas for other stories that are either simple or complicated, I actually do love a very complicated story. Let me know. I'd love to read them and share my thoughts about them with y'all because all this stuff is fun to talk about, and this is a new thing that I'm trying to do more of. You can see it's very casual. There's some blurry feet for the feet fans out there. But yeah, let me know what you think about this video and other series that you've enjoyed lately, and then we can talk about them on the floor. Maybe that'll be a thing. Okay, bye-bye.